The Survivor Family Visit. It sounds so boring on paper, and yet this seemingly simple idea has been so monumental to the show that not only have they done it since season 1 through the modern seasons, they have literally based 2 whole seasons around this event being one massive drama-filled family visit. Somehow the simplicity of family members coming to see those who are playing on Survivor brings laughter, crying, drama, and Jeff asking questions like a robot would, trying to figure out what human emotions and relationships are. I want to thank the patrons on my Patreon as they picked this topic to be covered. Every month they pick what videos I make, including story videos, so consider joining them to watch all videos early and to pick what I make. Thanks! Heads up, I will not be spoiling who wins any of these seasons until the very end when I reach season 40 Winners at War. It's impossible to show any footage from that season without spoiling anything. Let's get right into this. Season 1 Survivor Borneo. The basics of almost every family visit in this video will be compete in a challenge, and the winner gets an afternoon or even a night with their loved one. So that is the basic premise, and we will see how this evolves over each subsequent season. This video is really about the in-person family visits and not letters from home or videos from home. But here in season 1, Jeff tells them that they are competing for an evening on a yacht that they see out in the distance. No mention of any family members at all, and Dr. Sean wins the challenge and gets a massage while on the yacht, which leads to
my ass look as bony as it feels.
Yeah, that's not the family visit. I just thought it was too weird not to show. Anyways, Jeff is like, okay, let's go meet the captain, I guess. Though he can't be as cool as that butt-slapping massage lady. And
Captain? Hey, Dad! Oh my God! Holy Toledo!
totally a surprise, and heck, Dr. Sean doesn't even really know what to say when it is first revealed. Now, he did get to pick one person to spend breakfast with, and Richard gets chosen. And this, of course, leads to Kelly back at camp feeling shafted for not being picked by Dr. Sean, and he does get voted out next. But let's be clear, 99% of the seasons has someone not getting picked and getting mad. It's old hat very quickly. I'm not going to talk about every single time it happens. Season 2, the Australian Outback ups the ante. Once again, the players are not told they will get a loved one's visit. Instead, they are told they are competing for a Pontiac Aztec, which is yellow, and it's a car that failed miserably because its selling point is how it doubles as a tent. Colby wins this challenge, and like Dr. Sean before him, Jeff goes with and yells for Colby's mom to come out and bring them some food. Colby here is just as surprised as Dr. Sean, but the strangest part of this is the next morning when he's with his mom. Why has the family visit been so awkward both times? It's unique, but now I'm feeling a bit weird. For the first time in Survivor history, his mom actually gets to come back to the camp with him and gives everyone a care package. Season 3 Africa does not have a loved one's visit, it's not explained, so we move on to Season 4 Marquesas, where we see Jeff pull the first ever Trixie on the castaways.
So, I'm just wondering how you would react if I offered you a phone call home. It's not gonna happen today. I was just curious how you'd react.
Oh my God, that's cool. Love you too, Jeff.
He doesn't stop here, by the way. He will continue to do this randomly through at least season 40. But here he's like, here's what we're doing. And then he looks at them and he's like, never mind. I just want to see how your dumb faces would react. But we do have our first ever loved ones challenge where everyone gets to see them and know that this is what they're playing for. Kathy's son wins. That's right. The loved ones had to compete in the challenge for the first time ever. And her son gets to spend the night with her. And Jeff says, hey, he's a part of this tribe for one night, and he even gets a buff. That's some high honors. But back at camp, this kid hates it so much. He says he prefers to stay inside, and it doesn't help that Kathy's like, hey, you're doing work while you're here, bucko.
Nasty food. Oh.
If you follow it with an apple, it's not too bad.
It's really not good. It was muddy and disgusting, and got my hands all dirty, which I usually don't do. I'm usually a pretty boy. I don't know what my buddies are gonna think. I think I'm crazy.
Kathy then becomes the first person to openly talk about strategy with her loved one since she is in a precarious situation in the game, but he is absolutely no help whatsoever. We then move on to Season 5 Thailand. Once again, the loved ones are the ones competing in the challenge and they have to eat some gross food like boiled tarantulas. Brian's wife is like, love you, but I am not doing this. And she is the only loved one to not really attempt to win this thing. They are a very strange couple, and I get a lot more in depth with them when it comes to to Brian's story video, but for here, what you need to know is that Helen basically intimidates her husband into winning, so he gets to spend the night with her. And unlike Kathy's son, he is actually strategically smart and gives Helen the perfect advice that she should follow.
Really don't, maybe you don't need Brian. Get rid of the person that's the biggest threat. I just wouldn't feel right doing that.
The key is that she should follow it, but she won't. But she really should. We go to the very next season, Survivor the Amazon, and here we see Matthew, commonly referred to as socially strange, even alien-like, win the challenge. This is the first time the players knew what they were playing for and didn't get to see their loved ones before competing. Jeff then offers Matt to ditch seeing his mom for everyone else to see their significant other, and Matt's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. But despite this choice by Matt, Jeff must have a soft heart because you can still see your mom for the night, and like Colby, but unlike Colby, Matt's relationship with his mother is strange.
Just the two of us, Mom. It's gonna be a romantic evening. My relationship with my mom is great. It's not the conventional mother-son relationship.
We've missed you awfully.
Have you?
Yeah, of course. I talk to you at home. Even if I don't see you, I talk to you.
Moving on to season 7, Pearl Island, probably the most infamous family visit of all time, and for good reason. Why, you may ask? Because fan favorite Johnny Fairplay has his friend Thunder D come to visit, and that's when the biggest news of all time is dropped on him.
Oh, dude, how's Grandma? Huh? How's Grandma? She died, dude.
Did you get the letter? Did you go in?
Holy crap. His grandmother died, and he didn't even get Thunder D's letter. Survivor production is being real jerks here. It's quite terrible. So the competition here is to answer questions correctly, and every time you do that, you get to send someone else's loved one that much closer to having to jump off the plank. So mean old Sandra gets her question right, and
Sandra, first move.
Fair plays, buddy.
Dan, take one step back.
I mean, I have about a million questions I'd like to know about my grandmother, but obviously some people don't give a so.
It's not all about you all the time.
Right.
His grandmother just died.
what a jerk. His grandma just died. Doesn't she know that? Thankfully, everyone knocks Sandra out right away, and Fairplay wins. Finally, he can spend some time with Thunder D and find out what happened to his grandma. Why did she pass away?
My grandmother's sitting home watching Jerry Springer right now.
John called me before he left and was like, I've got to have any sort of leverage I possibly can. He said, outsmart and outthink. He's got to outplay everybody. And he's like, if you come down here, tell me my grandma died.
That was a brilliant performance, sir. Like that? Yeah, thank you. Did you like mine? I couldn't cry, I tried. I brought on a couple tears for you. It was sweat.
She's still alive? That's right, Fairplay tricked everyone except Sandra, and he uses this fake news to his strategic benefit all season. No one really knows his grandma is still alive until after the season is done. We then get our first ever returnee season, All Stars. In a weird surprise, everyone who is seeing their loved one here either didn't make it far enough to get a loved one's visit on their original season, or their season just didn't feature a visit. Rupert sees his wife Laura, and this is the first and I believe only person who appears on Survivor physically before playing the game. Katie in the Outback was not there physically for Tina. Rupert and Laura are way too into this kissing on TV thing, and Big Tom's son wins, and he picks Boston Rob to join him. But for the first time in Survivor history, we see someone who's like, I mean, I liked my loved one who came, but I wish I had someone else.
Good drink beer with my old boy. I wished it had been his mother or my neighbor's sister. After I seen what a remaining setting it was.
Boston Rob then controversially trashes Big Tom and his son by saying they're both incredibly stupid. We move on to season 9, Vanuatu, where Jeff says you are all competing for a 1-hour email chat with a loved one. Look at this massive dish that really proves that we have an internet connection. But turns out Jeff's just being sneaky, as everyone gets to, instead of emailing, video chat their loved ones. Eliza wins the challenge, and as it turns out...
Or would you rather your mom came out here and chatted with you?
Are you kidding?
Come on out, Susan. Probably figured out everybody's been here. We created a little studio so that you could talk to them.
Everyone was there the whole time, easily the biggest trick by Jeff so far. Heck, this season really goes all out as the loved ones help with the immunity challenge as well for the first time in Survivor history. We move on to season 10, Palau, which is very simple, and it kind of reminds me of Borneo, as Greg wins a yacht trip and they don't tell him that on the yacht is going to be your loved one, and he chooses to take Jen and Katie with him, and on the yacht, just like Dr. Sean, he does get surprised by the loved one, of course, and they all swim with the dolphins, which is new. In season 11, Guatemala, the loved ones pop out during the fan favorite Survivor auction, where the players bid money to win their loved one. Kind of like in the movies when you see people auctioning on a date with some hot person that they fall in love with later, except these people already know each other. Judd wins the auction and he says Stephanie and Mindy also got their loved ones, and back at camp, his wife now sees him in a whole new light.
My wife was pretty shocked, man, at my camping skills. I think she was digging it. She thought it was pretty hot. She thought I was a sexy camper.
In season 12, Exile Island, I don't have this off the top of my head, but Terry wins like his 8th, 9th, millionth challenge at this point, no joke, and gets to designate who gets what, a first for the show. We also see the youngest person on Survivor when Shane's son, Boston, comes to visit. That's right, someone who's under 18 gets to be a loved one on the show. Terry, of course, picks himself and Shane for the overnight visit, Sari for the bring your husband back to camp visit, and Aris gets a hug from his mom while Danielle gets Jack diddly squat and gets sent to Exile Island, which she is not happy about. We then see Sari and her husband being a funny hot mess.
Do I smell bad?
Yeah, but that's okay.
They're shooting. Man down.
As soon as I got up, it was like, okay, we need to do the fire. Okay, we need to get food. Okay, we need to get water. And I'm like, oh my God, we just woke up already. Serena obviously been working me like a dog, and it's bugging me a little bit. It's like, honey bunny, can you go get us some water? Honey bunny, can you get us some more twigs? Honey bunny, can you cut this coconut? Honey bunny, can you scale this fish? I'm like, oh gosh, killing me out here.
Despite Terry getting a nice night on a soft bed with a lot of food, he says, I don't care about that. And Marvin Gaye would be proud of this next moment.
I don't really give a crap that much about the bed. It was who I was sleeping with was extremely wonderful.
Be gentle with me.
We had some private time, but I tell you, just the snuggling and being able to sleep with my wife was just a warm feeling.
Moving on to season 13, Cook Islands, we see the players partner with their loved ones for the challenge. They did this before in Vanuatu, but that was for immunity, not for the reward. Parvati wins in a tight race with Penner, and Jeff throws a twist on them. He says instead of Parvati picking who gets to go on this reward, Parvati's dad has to pick 2 people to go on the reward instead, and he picks Sandra and Adam. They then see some locals and eat some food. Now, season 14, Fiji is the first season since Africa to not have a loved one's visit due to the turmoil in that country that I'm not qualified to talk about at all because I don't know enough about it. Basically, they're not getting their loved ones flown out there despite wanting to. Season 15, China gives me a strange sense of deja vu as when Todd's sister comes out to see him, she tells him some very important news.
Brandy's not gonna walk. That's a hug.
Kim's good, right?
She was scared lit up.
Are you okay? Okay.
Like me, you're probably asking yourself if this is all a ploy like what Johnny Fairplay did in Pearl Islands to be handed a win.
My little sister was pregnant and she lost her baby, but it's okay.
Your other sister?
Yeah, one a little bit younger than Brandy.
Well, Denise wins the challenge and she picks Todd and Amanda to have the reward with their loved ones as well. And for the first time in Survivor history, Denise gets a phone call on top of the physical visit. But on to bigger news. Everyone back at camp is pretty suspicious about Todd's news, and they are kind of thinking what I think we're all thinking right now.
I do not believe Todd's story.
Todd was going for the Oscar with his performance of My Sister Had a Convenient Miscarriage. And then, of course, Jeff was like, Todd, it looks like you just got some bad news. What happened? And Todd's like, my sister, she was pregnant and she lost the baby, but it happened for a reason. Like, that is not like the fake Johnny Fairplay, my grandma died. You can almost forgive that. That's funny.
As it turns out, though, Todd reveals that this news is very, very real, and not at all like Johnny Fairplay, who did it just to screw with everyone, which instantly makes Todd better than Johnny Fairplay, though that's not really saying much. In season 16 Micronesia, we see our first ever repeat loved ones, as Surie's husband HB is back from Exile Island, and Amanda's sister returns too from China. Eric, a newbie on the cast, is like, dude, look, it's Jeff Probst.
Jeff Probst! That's Jeff Probst! You just standing there!
Eric, you're a freak.
Alexis goes on to win the reward challenge, and she takes Surie and Natalie Bolton with her. They all get to swim with some stinger-free jellyfish, which I've actually done one time, and it's pretty awesome. Our next loved one challenge is in season 17, Gabon, and Jeff is back to his tricksy ways as he tells them all,
I wish I could tell you your loved ones were here, coming around the corner. They're not.
Sure, Jeff, I'm on to you. This is the third time he's tried to fake out the players. Bob wins the reward, and while he's enjoying his meal, he gets to watch a video of his wife, but then she pops out of a tree and surprises him. Back at camp, everyone gets to see their loved one too. There's really no rhyme or reason to any of this, but it is touching as Maddie is so overwhelmed, he proposes marriage to his girlfriend right on the spot.
I didn't want to let another day pass and me not let Jamie know how much she means to me and how much I value her. I want to marry you and I want you to be my wife, and I made this for you. Will you be my wife?
Yes, baby.
Will you be my wife?
Yes, 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 yes.
That is our first marriage proposal on the show proper. There, of course, has been a marriage proposal in the reunion show back in season 8, and of course, there is the failed marriage proposal in the reunion of season 22, but that is for another time. We move on to season 18, Tocantins, where once again we see the Survivor auction pop up, but this time the loved ones are not on the auction block. Instead, the players are just bidding to watch a video of their loved ones on a phone, like Bob did in Gabon. And when Taj wins the message from her husband,
See you back at the camp.
There's one left.
See you back at the camp!
Jeff then offers Taj a choice. She can either keep her loved one's visit from her husband and they can all go back to camp, or she can send herself to Exile Island while everyone else gets their loved one's visit instead back at camp. But oh, if she does that, her husband will be at Exile Island with her. She says, duh, of course I want alone time with him. Then at Exile, she wants to do what Terry Dietz did earlier in this video.
My husband jumps out from behind a tree and he just looked like an angel. He looked like a big old muscle bound. I just wanted to take him to the side and have a conjugal visit.
That's not even the strangest part of this loved one's visit, as Coach's loved one is his assistant coach, of all people. He says, hey, this assistant coach would be picked any day over a nice meal. No question about it. Then, while being stretched by his assistant coach, he says, hey, this isn't gay, I swear. Moving along, season 19, Samoa does not feature a loved one's visit for an unexplained reason, so season 20, Heroes vs. Villains, is next. At this point, it pretty much becomes standard fare through season 26 for the players to be teased by the upcoming loved ones challenge with Sprint's newest phone showing them video message which they can take with them on the reward and utilize for photos, courtesy of Sprint, which requires a player or two to be like, wow, this phone is next level. I can't wait to get one myself. It becomes pretty copy and paste. But this loved one's visit sees Parvati's dad making a second appearance on the show, Rupert's wife, aka future Survivor player Laura, make a second appearance, and Colby getting infamously upset with his brother all challenge long.
Tell me what to do, Reed.
Try it up a little bit. There you go. Try that.
Colby falls short.
You're doing good.
Reed, I'm throwing it farther.
Oh, okay.
Come on. Reed, talk to me, for God's sake.
Keep it straight. Keep it straight.
Reed.
I did. I held it right there.
Reed, tell me what you want.
Just throw it. Just throw it high.
Come on, Reed. Come on, Reed. Colby blaming everything on his big brother. He's been that way 34 days, Reed.
Jerry Matthew wins the challenge and she takes Sandra and Parvati on reward with her. Russell Hantz gets mad, but hey, what else is new? Just know that Russell Hantz is a massive jerk. Season 21, Nicaragua sees Chase winning reward and he chooses Sash and Holly to go with him. But what he doesn't know is that this will be the first ever Survivor murdered. Hey, Jeff Probst explains it.
What happens to the rest of them?
They will be taken and executed. As with any good challenge.
Definitely one of Jeff's best jokes. We move on to season 22, Redemption Island, where we see a new twist. The players who have been voted out are competing on an island to stay in the game, and whoever wins the 4-way duel wins love. Matt finishes in first, so Jeff offers him a choice. You can either keep love for yourself, you can give love to the other two people on Redemption Island with you, or you can give love to those still in the game proper.
If I give the most good to the most people and make friends from enemies, I think that's the only play here.
I gotta tell you, I thought the odds of that happening were less than 0.
A smart strategic move if he makes it back into the game, and the other voted off players, namely Ralph, are very upset by this, but like I said, someone is upset every single season about who's getting love and who isn't. Season 23 South Pacific also features Redemption Island, and just like the season before it, the players voted out compete to not only stay in the game but for who gets love as well. Except when Ozzy wins, he can't choose himself this time. He ends up picking Albert, Brandon, and Coach. Now Brandon is a relative of Russell Hantz, aforementioned jerk from earlier, notorious villain of the show, and Brandon is just trying to be a good Christian and change the Hantz family name by being honest and fair to the best of his ability, though he's been struggling all season. His dad pretty much tells him, "What are you doing? Are you stupid?"
At the end of the day, and you know that a move would put you into the final 3.
No.
Brandon, are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
You came here to win $1 million. Let's not lose
And it's
perspective.
changed. It's changed, man.
I'm seeing Brandon frazzled. I'm seeing him. I don't like what I see. So I'm really glad that I came today, because if I had to grade Brandon on the way he's playing right now, I'd probably give him about a C.
This is by far the hardest family visit to watch by a mile, as Brandon's dad then tries to go and intimidate Coach into doing what he says. It's a strange turn of events, and I feel bad for Brandon, who comes from a family of jerks. I recommend the video all about this alliance in this season called the Cult Like Mafia Family Alliance video that I made for this season's entire story about this. We move on to season 24, Survivor One World, where Kat, notorious immature party girl, wins, and she picks Kim and Alicia because she just wants to get drunk with them. However, everyone, including Kim, who got the reward too, lambasts Kat for being an a-hole by not picking the two people whose loved ones visit means something, like Christina, whose dad doesn't have that much longer to live.
I felt like that was a really selfish decision for Kat not to take Tarzan and Christina. I don't know how angry they're gonna be, but I'm gonna have to do major damage control back at camp.
Kat then essentially says, "I may have made the wrong strategic choice. So what? This is way more fun." Oh brother. Season 25 Philippines has us seeing the first time in 5 seasons something I didn't think was possible. No Sprint phone for me to rush to the store and buy. Every loved one's visit between seasons 17 and 24 all featured in some capacity one of these phones, but not here. Malcolm wins reward and he picks Lisa and Scoopin to go on reward with him, but Lisa brings back the weirdness that we saw in earlier seasons as her brother comes out and he won't say her name. He just keeps saying, "Sister."
Sister. Sister. Brother, sister, love. Sister. Sister. Thank you, brother, sister, love.
I've seen some pretty powerful moments involving loved ones. This might be at the top.
That's some big words from Jeff, but I don't agree. Taj's visit in Tocantins was the top, but the bigger impact is how Lisa's brother basically talks sense into her, and unlike Helen in Thailand, Lisa actually listens and realizes that yeah, she needs to make some different moves in this game, and it totally impacts how the rest of the season plays out. Season 26 Caramoan sees the return of the Sprint phone, which is good. It always brings me comfort to see Sprint showcase their very outdated phones that were high-tech at the time. So when Brenda has her dad come out to see her, Jeff does the unthinkable and savor this because he won't be doing it again in this video.
You told me to be humble, and I've been being so humble because of you. I think of you every second. Every second.
Brenda, I just broke 26 seasons. I've never cried at a loved one. You got me.
I'm so happy.
Brenda then goes on to win reward and she gets to pick one player to go with, so she picks Dawn. However, plot twist time. As it turns out, everyone has a second loved one standing by for the first time in Survivor history, and Brenda gets a huge choice.
Now, here's your dilemma. You can choose one other survivor and their loved one, or you can give up your love, and the other 4 remaining survivors and their loved ones will enjoy the barbecue.
Of course, I'm gonna give it to them.
Oh yes!
Brenda, thank you so much.
Brenda feels good about this, but Dawn is so upset and cries. What else is new? But on the float with his dad, Cochran is like, I don't know who this man is. This can't be my father. Normally he's a dork like me, but now he's acting like some sort of cool guy grill master. Season 27, Blood vs. Water, finally breaks the seal, and there isn't a loved one's visit, but that is because the whole season is a loved one's visit, as returning players are on one tribe and their loved ones are on a whole other. It creates a lot of interesting drama and strategy, and someone even votes out their own mother, which Jeff did not think was possible. And finally, we see Rupert's wife, Laura, properly as a survivor player after only being a loved one twice.
Laura, that's it. You have enough. Take a spot over here next to me. Rupert, very heroic. Love your wife. Do anything for your wife.
I would rather have myself in this position than I would my wife. Laura deserves to play the game.
I never anticipated this.
Season 28, Cagayan sees the first ever loved one's visit for free. No challenge necessary, but only the final 4 gets this visit. Tony is disappointed his wife couldn't come due to their 4-month-old baby, and the family members even get to watch the immunity challenge that Kat goes on to pull a massive upset during. Other than that, nothing really big happens here. Season 29, San Juan Del Sur does the Blood vs. Water twist again, but this time to a much lesser effect, as the cast is all newbies, and frankly, most of them are kind of dull. Season 30, Worlds Apart, sees a twist to the Loved Ones challenge, as not only does the winner get the standard visit, but they get an advantage in the next immunity challenge. Mike Holloway wins this, and the advantage ends up being walking through the immunity maze with his mom for 30 minutes, and while it works for the season, it makes for a very unmemorable Loved Ones visit for the video. Season 31, Cambodia sees Val returning from San Juan Del Sur to see her husband Jeremy. This ends up being an amazing moment, as Jeremy knew she was pregnant when he left for the game, but he didn't know the sex of the baby yet.
So Val said, it's a boy. I'm gonna have a son.
We also see Dale from San Juan Del Sur return, and while Wentworth wins reward, she gets to pick a record 4 people to join her. They end up being Keith, Abby, Kimmy, and Joe. The 3 that didn't get picked are like, screw this, we're gonna become the final 3, and spoiler alert, they do. There is no loved ones visit in season 32, it's not explained. So we move on to season 33, Millennials versus Gen X, where we know that Adam's mom is not doing so hot while he's playing the game, but seeing his brother brings more news about her, and it isn't very uplifting. Basically, Adam's mom is doing worse than before. Jay wins the reward, and he picks Will, Sunday, and Adam to have their loved ones too. This is where Adam learns just how bad things really are going back at home, but he has hope.
And a couple weeks later, they said that infusion wasn't really doing its job.
Why is this happening?
I'm here to bring joy to my family, to make them proud, and to give them as much to look forward to as humanly possible. And the better I do in this game, and the longer I last, and the more that I make my mom happy, I have to stay focused, and I have to use this as inspiration to continue fighting out here.
Season 34, Game Changers, sees the return of Monica from Blood vs. Water in One World to come visit her husband, Brad Culpepper. And heck, Suri gets a loved one's visit too, but it's not from her husband HB, unlike the last 2 times. Instead, it is from her youngest son. Brad, Aubrey, and Andrea win the challenge the first time a trio of players wins it, and they choose Suri and Sarah to join them. Season 35, Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, is where I want to pause and acknowledge how with each season, Jeff's questions keep getting dumber and dumber, but I'm finally gonna stop and take a look at them, because he kind of goes from understanding basic human relationships to saying some of the dumbest things, like this time when he's talking to a father-daughter pair.
Jim, so this really is a father-daughter connection.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Or even this time when he is talking to 2 sisters.
Lauren, let's get your sister out here. Sonny, come on out. You guys are clearly sisters.
Somewhere along the line, Jeff was taken over by a robot who no longer understands humans and the relationships they forge with each other. The challenge itself is actually incredibly lame, the worst on this list by far, as players and their loved ones try to match marbles at random. I don't know what's going on here, but Chrissy wins and she takes Ryan, Dr. Mike, and Ashley with her. Season 36, Ghost Island, sees Sebastian winning the reward challenge, and he takes Dom, Wendell, and Jonathan with him. However, Jeff offers a big twist to the pot just to mix things up.
You are going to decide who goes to Ghost Island. And today there's a twist.
because waiting at Ghost Island is an advantage in the game. You don't have to do anything other than show up to Ghost Island, and that advantage is yours.
I'll go.
Wendell steps up.
Yeah.
All right, so Wendell, you're going to give up what might be a once-in-a-lifetime afternoon in exchange for an advantage in the game.
Wendell takes the offer, the women get mad at him for going, and they don't get to see their loved ones visit. No one gets to replace Wendell. And the advantage he gets is the same one Malcolm got in season 25, Philippines, and just like Malcolm, he will go on to squander it. Season 37, David vs. Goliath, sees fan favorite Christian have his girlfriend come out, and that is when his partner in crime all game, Gabby, gets way too emotional at seeing this connection take place.
That's my hair. I have a beard.
Oh my
I
God.
know.
I'm like crazy. You know, that's what.
Angelina and Nick go on to win the challenge, and they take Mike and Davey with them. While on the reward, they say this is going to be the final four, and they are 75% accurate in that statement. However, enough is enough. Gabby didn't like what she saw Christian doing with his girlfriend, which was loving her, and wants him out next. It is very dramatic, and I highly recommend Christian's story video for the entire story. Season 38, Edge of Extinction, sees a very heartwarming moment as we learn that Gavin got married 2 days before going on the show, and this is the first time he is seeing his new wife in weeks. During the challenge, Devins does so poorly that at one point he says, screw it, why don't we just talk now?
Devins to his wife.
Oh,
good one. Once again, I don't know if Devins is doing that on purpose or not, Becca.
He is.
How's it going, babe? Everything good, Becca?
Good. Everybody's good. And I miss you.
I miss you too.
Ron ends up winning the challenge, and he takes Julie and Gavin with him. Season 39, Island of the Idols, sees Jeff saying an inaccurate statement, though I don't know 100% if it's inaccurate, but it just seems like it is on its face. As he says Dan's son Ryan, at 13 years old, is the youngest person to appear on the show. I am pretty sure Boston from Exile Island was younger, but I have no solid information on that. He certainly looked younger. In a cool moment, Nora's sister is visually impaired, and Jeff lets her stay beside him while he hosts the challenge so she can see what's going on. Tommy and Janet go on to win, and they pick Dan and Lauren to go with them. While they are off enjoying their loved one's visit, Elaine makes a game-changing move, and by that I mean she shows how ridiculously easy it has become in this era of Survivor to find idols, as she finds one on the walking path at waist height in a color not found in nature. Season 40, Winners at War, starts off with the show showing us the upcoming challenge. Nothing new here so far. But then everyone not only gets a loved one to come out, but actually gets up to 5, as that's right, Jeremy has 5 loved ones come out, and one of them is the same child we found out from Val about in Cambodia.
The baby's fine, and he's a boy. And that's my guy, Remy.
Jeff then goes on to try and be a trickster once more. He's like, oh yeah, this challenge, it's gonna be tough.
For today's challenge, all the adults and the teenagers are gonna swim out to the deepest part of the ocean, leaving all the kids behind to dig in the sand. For the first time ever, there is no Survivor Loved One Challenge. Everybody's gonna experience Survivor.
In a shocking move, not only does everyone in the game get a free challenge-less visit, which Jeff incorrectly says it's the first time ever, the first time was Cagayan, but everyone on the Edge of Extinction gets a family visit too. It was probably far too expensive to not do this for the show. That is a lot of people to fly out to Fiji otherwise for free. But then, at the end of the episode...
Hey, Probst, thank you. That was a thank you to you guys.
So that is where we stand as of now. Seasons 41 nor 42 had a family visit due to COVID and the quarantine requirements, so will we see it again in the future? I hope so. Will Jeff try and trick everyone again? Oh brother, I really hope so. So what do you think about the family visit on Survivor? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.